Today I'm going to be revisiting a Linux distro that I reviewed on the channel a couple of months back. I'm going to take a look at the new build of Shark Linux. I'm going to take a look at Shark Linux, their build 2018-7-6 with the GNOME desktop environment. Let's take a look. Shark Linux. What is Shark Linux? Well, according to distrowatch.com, Shark Linux is an Ubuntu-based distribution featuring the Mate desktop. Now, of course, the build I'm taking a look at today is a GNOME build, so now they're offering a GNOME desktop as well. The distribution automatically upgrades packages on the system to apply security patches, so auto-updating, I guess, is enabled by default on this particular distro. The distribution also enables sudo access by default without requiring a password for user convenience. I don't particularly like that for security reasons, but if I have to invoke sudo for some reason, I don't have to enter a password. Anyway, Shark Linux features the Ubuntu hardware enablement kernel by default. And Shark Linux, their ISOs are hosted over on SourceForge. If I go to SourceForge, let's see, Shark Linux 64-bit OS specializes in virtualization, so should work great inside a VM such as VirtualBox, which is what I'm going to be using today for this video. Features a custom Mate/XFCE desktop capable of running on a cloud server with little impact on performance. So again, it says that they're focusing on a Mate/XFCE, I guess a hybrid desktop. But again, today I'm taking a look at one of their current builds. If you go to current builds, sharklinux.iso, and it is GNOME. It's actually using the GNOME desktop environment. So 1.5 gigs in size. Let me go ahead and pull that down and get this party started. Okay, so I've downloaded the ISO and see, I've loaded up Shark Linux inside a VM. This may take a minute or two to load us into the desktop environment, the live desktop environment. This would be the same as booting off a live USB stick or booting off a live DVD. Sometimes it takes a little longer to get into these things. Once we actually have it installed, of course, it'll boot up much faster. And as always, for these Linux installs, earlier in the day, cup of coffee. For the Linux installs that happen after 9 p.m., we need beer. So, alright, so our live desktop environment has loaded up. It looks like the VirtualBox guest editions are not enabled by default, but that's fine. Let's run through the installer. The Ubiquity installer, the standard Ubuntu installer, I recognize this. It opens automatically, so no need to look for the installer. English has been chosen for our language. I'm going to click continue. Do I want to download updates while installing Shark Linux? Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Install third-party software for graphics, Wi-Fi, Flash, MP3, and other media? Absolutely. You really need to tick that on in these Ubuntu-based distros. This gives you your proprietary graphics drivers, your proprietary Wi-Fi drivers, all your multimedia codecs for your media players like VLC and whatnot. I'm going to click continue. Alright, and installation type. Okay, so it's going to create an extended 4-file system on root, 12 gigs, and it's going to create a 4 gig swap. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I normally don't like creating swaps in these VMs, but I'm going to let it do the automatic partitioning. I'm going to click install now. Alright, it's going to format the drive and write to the disk. I'm going to click continue. And we wait a second. Time zone. It has correctly chosen the central time zone in the US for me. So I click continue. Alright, keyboard layout. English US is correct. English US, yep. So all this is correct. Now since I have such a small screen resolution, the OK button, or continue button, I have to move the window over to get to it. Alright, same thing on this screen. It looks like the window is bigger than the actual screen resolution. But anyway, we're creating our user. I'm going to call my user DT. Pick a password, a strong and secure password for the user DT. Pick something long and complicated. Alright, do we want to log in automatically, or would we like to require a password to log in? I like requiring my password to log in. We also have the option to encrypt our home folder. I'm not going to do that in a VM. I'm going to click continue. And this should start the installation process. Once you get to this point, this particular part of the installation usually takes between 5 and 10 minutes. In most modern Linux distributions, these user-friendly distributions such as Shark Linux, which is Ubuntu based. So I'm going to pause the video for a couple of minutes. I'll come back once the installation is completed. Alright, and once the installer completed, I didn't have to reboot the machine myself. It automatically rebooted the machine. It's asking me to remove the installation medium. So in my case, I need to detach the ISO from the VM. You guys doing this on physical hardware, this is where you would unplug the live USB stick or take out the live DVD. You do that, hit enter, your machine reboots. That's what I'm going to do right now. Alright, and Shark Linux has rebooted for us. Let me go ahead and hit enter. That was our grub menu. Looks like the installation went okay here. See how long it takes us to get to a login manager. Alright, we got to our login manager quite fast. I'm still seeing a lot of the Mate logos and everything. I thought this was a GNOME build, but this might be Mate. And this is definitely Mate. This is not GNOME. And it looks like, again, we've got a program on auto start here. It's running some kind of post-installation script. I guess it's removing a lot of stuff that's no longer needed after the installation. It's probably also installing some extra stuff. I'm not exactly sure what this post-installation script is doing. I'm just going to let it run. But apparently this particular version of Shark Linux is Mate. I thought it was going to be GNOME because the website that I got that current build, I swear that thing said something about GNOME in it. Let me see if I can pull that up really fast here. Go back to my browser view here. So if I go to my history, where was I just at? Shark Linux download. Here is the download page, and if you look, browse development GNOME Shark Linux. So according to the directory structure here at SourceForge, this ISO, you know what, I'm not sure. I guess I should have paid more attention to it. So it's not a GNOME distro. It's still very much a Mate distro. So that's fine. We're just going to take a look at Shark Linux, this current build of the Mate desktop. Alright, that post-installation script has finished, and here we are. We've got our welcome screen. Welcome to Shark Linux. Get started with some of the setup tools included below to begin customizing your system. To enjoy all the features included in Shark Linux, it is strongly recommended to install the expansion. Alright, and then we have automatic maintenance, Shark Extras, system backup, make swap, Shark Linux expansion. This is what it's telling us we really need to run. System time zone, sudo policy, system settings, and user support and bug reports. So, just a couple of things. The bug reporting is a standard bug reporting tool. You guys don't need to see that. The sudo policy, now this is very important. This is going to explain that, when you invoke sudo, you're not going to be asked for a password on Shark Linux. It's just going to do whatever it is you want to do without a password. So, you might want to read that. For me, I probably want to be asked for a password anytime I do something with sudo, just to be safe. The Shark expansion, let's go ahead and run this program. Install Shark Linux expansion, sure, why not? Let's see, downloading required data. Please wait. Okay, not exactly sure how long this will take, so I'm going to pause the video. And it's installing some stuff. Some of the things that I've seen fly by on the screen that it's installing include things like Audacious, Inkscape, Clementine, some Qt stuff, various other libraries and packages. Node.js. Anyway, just going to let this run. So this is going to basically give us all those extras, all the goodies that make Shark Linux Shark Linux. All right, so that expansion pack, that finished running. As soon as that finished running, I took a couple of minutes to try to get the VirtualBox guest editions installed so we can have a full screen resolution to take a look at Shark Linux. Again, this is a what they call a daily build from just about a week ago, this particular snapshot. This is build 2018-07-06, so July 6, 2018. Anyway, the desktop here, let me move myself out of the way for just a second. I mean, look at this, very nice. I don't know if it's Conky or some other widget that's giving us date and time, but looks pretty good. Very minimal, classy. I like it. I like the wallpaper. The theme. I'm not sure if I really like start for the start menu. That's a little too old school. Very retro though. Very reminiscent of the old start menu back in like Windows 95 kind of the time period. But you know, I think that's what they're going for here, is to try to appeal to, you know, those Windows users that might, you know, like something like their particular hybrid Mate/XFCE desktop environment. I'm actually not sure what's going on here. I will say one thing. When I did the show notes, as far as I was telling you, you know, some of what Shark Linux is all about, virtualization was one of the things they mentioned. And we're going to see a lot of virtualization programs installed as far as software on the system. Why did I have to install the VirtualBox guest editions? Why wasn't that already included on the ISO? That's a little strange, in my opinion. Anyway, let's see what all is installed by default. Under Internet, we have Dropbox. I use Dropbox. It's proprietary software, but you know what? It does work. I think that's a fabulous choice. Again, you know, are there free and open source solutions out there? Sure, but you know what? Dropbox, again, it just works. So I don't hate them for including something like Dropbox on the ISO. FileZilla is a great FTP client here for those that need to do file transfer protocol. I actually use FileZilla anytime I'm doing like uploading to a remote server, a web server. Also under Internet, we have Firefox Nightly. Now that's interesting that they include a nightly build here. I don't know if that's just because this is a daily build of Shark Linux. I hope they don't ship something like a nightly build on the actual releases of Shark Linux. That's a little too bleeding edge for my taste. You know, I want current version of Firefox, but I do want stable. I don't want nightly builds, but you know, I really like the the default screen there though. That is really cool. Let's see, if I go to About Nightly, this is Firefox Nightly. This is 61.0A1, 64-bit, of course. All right, let me close out Firefox Nightly. Oh, not exactly sure what I was doing there. All right, back to Internet. We also have Google Chrome installed by default. Both Firefox Nightly and Google Chrome. Do we want to make Chrome the default browser? No, I don't want to. Do we want to automatically send usage stats and crash reports to Google? I don't want to send anything to Google. But anyway, let's just check out what version of Chrome we have. Now, of course, Google Chrome is also another one of these proprietary programs. Google Chrome is not free and open source. This is Chrome version 67.0. But again, you know, Chrome is the most popular web browser out there. I understand why some distros choose to ship it. Of course, Firefox is free and open source, so I would prefer distros to ship something like Firefox rather than Chrome. Or if you want a free and open source alternative to Chrome, Chromium is free and open source. All right, we also have more cloud stuff. Megasync. We have OpenDesktop.org. We have pCloud Drive. This is a pCloud Drive client. Rambox. I believe this is a website, if I recall correctly. The last time I took a look at it, yeah, it's this website that includes links to all these services, such as AIM. I don't know how many people do instant messaging anymore, but you know, a bunch of other little services like that, ICQ, IRC Cloud, iCloud Mail, you know, some webmail stuff. Proton Mail is in here, Outlook 365, Skype, etc. Steam Chat, Telegram. Anyway, It's just a hot link basically to a website, but you know, it looks like it's a pretty cool site. We have a remote viewer. This is for remote desktop. Let's see what remote desktop program they're using. Well, I'm not going to bother connecting. So, all right, back to internet. Thunderbird Mail is our email client. We have UGet, which is a download manager. We have Web Catalog. Apparently, we also have some kind of wallpaper changer going on. The wallpaper keeps changing every few minutes. Web Catalog, let's see, sign in. I'm not going to sign in with any kind of Google or anything, so I'm not sure what this is. I'm sure it's another website of some kind of web service. All right, settings. Settings is your standard, you know, settings and preferences stuff. You know, about me, additional drivers, flash, appearance, app grid, yada, yada, yada. We'll come back to this in just a second. We have a category called Shark Linux. This is the Shark Linux tools, featured software. Shark Linux expansion, I already ran that. That was that expansion pack you run right after you finish the installation. Then we have Cockpit, which is sysadmin web panel. A sysadmin web panel. Do I want to install Cockpit? No, I'm not going to install whatever that particular program is. We also have FireGel for a firewall. We have GIMP extension pack. So this is all your plugins and extensions for GIMP. Very cool. So this helps you get all that stuff installed if you need it. Guacamole, which is, what is Guacamole? HTML5 reverse proxy. We have Kimchi, KVM front end, of course, virtualization stuff, Linux Brew, homebrew on Linux. That is interesting. Do we want to install it? No. Okay, so all these packages under Shark Linux here is stuff that we could install. It's not installed, but we can install it. So some of the ones that jump out at me, TeamViewer, for example. It's not free and open source, but for remote desktop, very good program. I'm assuming if I click this, it will ask me, do I want to install TeamViewer? No. I'm going to install it on camera. All right. And, you know, Wine is also here. That's another really big one. I go to this tools subsection. We have things like Google Drive, mainline kernel, desktop themes, make swap, PowerShell for PowerShell. That's the PowerShell on Windows. Do we want to install PowerShell? No. Not exactly sure exactly how that would work. Anyway, additional software, sudo policy, yada, yada, yada. Virtual environments, it's going to be all the virtualization programs, and they have a ton of them. Portainer, Vagrant Box, Hyper, LXD Panel, QLC Console, Nova LXD, LX DevStack, Minikube, Kubernetes, okay, Shark Cloud, Shark Linux, Xenial 64, Bionic, and Ubuntu Cloud. They have an accessories category. Backups, which of course is the Deja Dupe program that standard Ubuntu uses. Really nice program to take snapshots and do restore. Also under accessories, Kaja, standard file manager in the Mate desktop. Kaja 1.16.6. Kaja lets you organize files and folders both on your computer and online. Basically, it's a fork of the old Nautilus file manager from the GNOME 2 days. It was before the GNOME 3 devs really just neutered Nautilus to the point where, you know, it's not a very good file manager anymore. But Kaja is what Nautilus used to be, which is a great file manager. Also under accessories, we have the GNOME disk utility. We have Grandpa, which is an archive manager. This is the standard archive manager in the Mate desktop. Yeah. This is for zip, unzip, those sorts of things. Also under accessory, we have featured software again. We have Calculator for our calculator. We have the Quake terminal. Quake terminal is a drop-down terminal. You hit F12 on the keyboard, and it goes away. Hit F12 again, and it drops down for you. Really neat program. For those of you that do a lot of work in the terminal, really handy. We have the Mate search tool, the Mate terminal. OpenDesktop.org again. Pluma. Pluma is our plain text editor, the standard plain text editor in the Mate desktop. Also under accessories, we have our screenshot utility. We have Variety, which is what makes my wallpaper change every couple of minutes. Let's open that up. So Variety preferences. Basically, we can tell it to stop changing my wallpaper or change it every 10 minutes instead of every 5 minutes. I'm sure I can tell it what screen to change the wallpapers on because I have multi-monitors. We have effects, sync, manual downloading, color and size, customize, tips and tricks, and how to donate to the variety team. Alright, under education, we only have one program, LibreOffice Math. Under graphics, we have Eye of Mate, GIMP, Inkscape, and the Mate color selection. Office, we have LibreOffice Writer installed, and Math, of course. We don't have the presentation software. We don't have the spreadsheet software either for LibreOffice. They only included the word processor. That's interesting because they included so much other stuff on the ISO. You'd think they would have went ahead and just installed the full LibreOffice suite. Under multimedia, we have Audacious for a lightweight, minimal music player. Audacious is fantastic. For something more fully featured, feature-rich, Clementine is also installed. Now, Clementine pretty much has everything you could want as far as a music player. Let me go ahead and kill it because it minimized down here to the sys tray. We've got some other stuff going on in the sys tray. Let me close most of this before it gets out of hand, because I will check system resources, CPU, and memory usage here in a minute. Also under multimedia, we have OpenShot for our video editor. It's interesting that they include a video editor by default. Something not a lot of distros do. OpenShot 1.4.3. OpenShot is not a bad video editor. I prefer Kdenlive. Kdenlive is a much better video editor, but Kdenlive is a KDE program. It does have some dependencies, so that may be why they didn't ship with something like Kdenlive instead. And we have VLC Media Player. VLC is probably the best video player we have available to us in Linux. VLC is just a fantastic program. Alright, under System Tools, have a lot of the same stuff we've already seen, such as the File Manager, the Quake Terminal. We have Gparted, which is great if you're going to use Shark Linux as a live USB stick or a live DVD. App Grid, let's take a look at the App Grid. Yeah, let's agree to whatever we're agreeing to, but this is basically our GUI app center. So say if instead of Chrome or Firefox, which are already installed on my system, I want to install Chromium, which is an open source alternative to Chrome. I just click on it, I get a screenshot, a little description, some information as far as version, licensing. I get comments other people have made, how they rated this particular app. And then if I click install, it will install Chromium for me. App Grid is really, really neat. I am not going to install anything using it today though, but a very cool program nonetheless. We have the GDebi package installer. You use GDebi. This is a graphical way of installing Debian packages, .deb packages. You can always install deb packages in the command line using the terminal, but that is a graphical way to install them, GDebi. Let's see, what other system utilities do we have? We have the Synaptic Package Manager. Let me enter my root password. So it does ask me for a root password on some things. Alright. Anyway, Synaptic is another graphical package manager, standard package manager in a lot of Debian-based distros. So if I want to search for a package, I just click search, and I want to install HTOP on this system. I don't know if it's already installed or not, but it'll let me know if it is. It is not already installed. I click on it, mark for installation, hit apply, and I'm going to go ahead and install this one because HTOP is such a small program with no dependencies. It'll just take literally a second, and that was it. HTOP is now installed on the system. That is how you use the Synaptic Package Manager in Debian, Debian-based distros, and Ubuntu-based distros. If I go back to settings, let's see if there was anything in the settings I missed that I want to cover. It looks like a lot of the standard stuff for the settings system. Yeah, we have a virtual machine manager here under system. Let's see what exactly. Okay, that's libvirt. So that is libvirt, which is a front end for QEMU. So let's see what else. We had another package called virtual machines. Let's see what virtualization this is using. Shark Linux admin panel, virtual machines and containers. Okay, so this is just a program that basically groups all those virtualization programs together in one convenient little tab if you wanted to play with them. Let's check out the wallpapers. I'm going to right click on the desktop. I'm going to choose change desktop background. And let's see what kind of wallpapers we have. We have the standard Mate wallpaper pack. Nothing we haven't seen before. Same Mate wallpapers I've seen a million times. If I change, of course we got variety wallpaper changer changing things, so none of these are going to stay very long, but just showing you some of the Mate wallpapers. Really not a bad wallpaper pack, the default Mate wallpaper pack. Really nice. Alright, let's see if Control-Alt-T opens a terminal. It does. This opens the Mate terminal. Let's check our kernel version. Now this is a current build. This ISO is about a week old, so if I do a uname space -r, gives us kernel version 4.15.0. Now 4.15 is the kernel that is used currently in Ubuntu 18.04. Shark Linux is based on Ubuntu, so makes sense. Now we installed htop on the system. Let's run htop. Let's check out CPU and memory usage. CPU, very low. 1-2% of the CPU right now. Memory usage, RAM usage, 601 megs right now. That's pretty standard for the Mate desktop. Kind of middle of the road. Not really light, but it's not heavy. 601 megs for a full desktop environment with a couple of things running. I mean, I've got this little widget on the desktop. I've got some stuff sitting in the sys tray. Of course, I'm running the terminal and htop inside the terminal. 601 megs. I can live with that. So, all in all, what do I think about Shark Linux, this daily build from about a week ago with this Mate desktop environment? Love it. I have no problems with it. It is Ubuntu, the standard Ubuntu installer, with the XFCE desktop. The XFCE desktop, it just works. Now, it does come with it brings a little more to the table than just like mainline Ubuntu or Xubuntu with the XFCE desktop. I mean, it comes with a lot more software installed, and it comes with proprietary software, things that Ubuntu would never ship. Dropbox, Chrome, some of these third-party proprietary cloud services and such. We have the Shark Linux utilities here. Let me open some of these. The Shark Linux expansion pack. You can get all your GIMP extensions right here in the Shark Linux featured software. You can install things like TeamViewer, again, closed source software, but excellent. Shark Linux does bring something to the table. It's not just another Ubuntu-based distribution. So overall, what do I think of Shark Linux? I give it an A. Now, before I go, I do need to give a special thanks to all my patrons, all my Patreon subscribers. Ansem, David, Carlos, Chuck, Daniel, Brian, Leor, AK, Ron, Mr. Neely Pops, Bart, Robert, Marcus, Dan, Mr. Smarty Pants, Swami, Ben, Humade, Keith, Dan, Mr. GFY, Michael, Tony, Bruno, David, Sylvia, Omar, John, Carl, Greg, Christian, Rob, Matt, Mark, Tiedemann, Stephen, the other Stephen, the third Stephen, Eduardo, Alex, Jake, Benjamin, Marcus, Interceptor, Paul, the other Paul, John, and Tubella. You guys rock. You guys help make this show possible. Peace, guys.